Which is wiser, saltine or grain?
Saltine.
Just checking. Welcome. Welcome to this gathering of holy people. They're all full of holes. Who now who's a wise guy? Yeah, there's a hole in the roof. So this evening's Dharma talk title is I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. And this talk title I asked Shui Wu what I should do for the talk. She asked me what was going to happen on Wednesday, and I usually don't make up my mind until late in the day. And so I said, "What would you like?" She said, "I'd like to sit for 15 minutes and have you give a Dharma talk." I said, "Okay. What would the talk title be?" And she said, "I don't know." And of course, I'm quite literal. So that's where we're at. But then after I said that, I don't know what I'm going to do. And it slowly arose that I can actually tie this into other teaching. Uh, I don't know is very important, very important. Quite often we say that, but we say it as a failure, like an ego failure. Not that Shui Wu is particularly failing. But what's important about this is about 16, I don't know exact time, 1600 years ago, Bodhidharma, part of our lineage, the Soto lineage of Japan, and the Caodong lineage of ancient China, uh, when he was asked by Emperor Wu, um, what is the meaning? Emperor Wu was quite full of himself, was building all kinds of monuments to Buddhism, trying to gain a lot of merit. And of course, Bodhidharma knew about this, so when he said, "What is fundamentally the greatest, wonderful, most deeply sacred, excuse me, sacred teaching of the Buddha or of Buddhism?" She said, and he said, "Of course, this is in Chinese, I presume, if not something else. But the English translation of that, one of them, is vast emptiness, no holiness, or nothing holy, nothing, nothing holy, vast emptiness." And I'm not sure I wasn't there, of course, but the emperor looked at him for a minute and then he said, "So who are you?" Of course, he talked to Shui Wu for a minute and said, "I don't know." And I don't know is not a failure. It is an ultimate teaching where one has transcended the need for some kind of identity or reference point of using your name to present, using what you've done to present. Very powerful teaching for Emperor Wu. We're not sure what Emperor Wu did with that, but somebody recorded it or it wouldn't be here, or somebody made it up. It doesn't make any difference. Makes no difference what happens. It's only what you're aware of. This is such a powerful teaching. I don't know. Be aware that you don't know. If you're aware that you don't know, then you can teach. But if you think you know, you're just as confused as that wealthy, famous, wonderful, powerful person, Emperor Wu of Liang. It can take a long time of looking at knowledge, relative knowledge. We have relative knowledge. We're not trying to get rid of that. It's just the final, complete, total, thorough, vast understanding is there isn't anyone. So there's no one to know anything. So if you do know in the relative sense, then it'll be, I know that, and I don't know this, and I know this, and I'm learning this. It will separate, control, divide, push up, push down, and function in the illusion of relative truths, which seems so confused. They're so not confusing, convincing. Seems so convincing that this is real just because of the nerve endings and the eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, mind. Not real. Look closely. See what it is yourself. Don't get your diploma from me. I don't give diplomas. You find out yourself so that you can say with complete confidence, unconditional confidence, I don't know. That may seem to someone else listening to you, well, that's not right. What is he, she, they trying to prove by saying, I don't know? That's a projection on the part of the person asking the question onto Bodhidharma, or that kind of response. I don't know. It's not, I don't know. It's, I don't know. What kind of knowing goes beyond relative knowing? It can only be stated relatively by saying, I don't know, because there is no one. So it's a positive statement. I don't know. Knowing knows, but I do not know. I'll take questions now if you have them.
Chandramabalan, what is the difference between confusion and not knowing?
Confusion tends to cause one who thinks they are someone who's operating out of passion, aggression, and ignorance, hope, and fear to move away or move towards or be sucked into the orbit, into the cyclone of the difficulty. And that's the polarity, up and down, back and forth, success and failure, spinning, not spinning. That polarity is happening. And what was the when you're asking what's the difference between that and what?
Not knowing.
Same. No difference. For the next question.
Chandramabalan, on the path, can we not know?
Yes. Even the sing song, the Korean sage of the previous century, the title of one of his books was "Only Don't Know Mind." So he was using that understanding. The way it looks here, he was using that credible statement, "Only don't know," as a teaching, direct teaching. It's the mind that doesn't really know anything ultimately. Mind knows things relatively. They know that chop wood, carry water. We know that we need to go through a doorway instead of a window, unless you're escaping a fire. Very situational, what happens next. And it won't be situational if you're operating out of your preconceptions, your ideas, your structure, your hope and fear-based ego, out of what should happen, what people think about what's happening, what will people think about what I do about what's happening. If you're doing that, you're operating out of the cult of relative truth, thinking that some things are right, some things are wrong, some things should be done, some things shouldn't be done. Liberate yourself by looking at the prison, which are concepts, ideas, structures, beliefs, ethics, laws. They're meant to control you by society or by a culture or by Emperor Wu.
Chandramabalan, is the don't know mind or not knowing, can that happen when there's still belief in a solid separate self?
Yes, I don't know mind. It goes way further than anything. That's a concept that goes way further than any concept you can mention, because the understanding is I don't know means you're not clinging to those ideas. Those are illusions, so it doesn't matter. You don't have to get rid of anything. It's the clinging to it. And so when you're saying the way you're saying it, I would say there's a progress of that in the relative movement, that where you're beginning to see that you believe in it, you believe it, but you doubt that you really don't believe what you believe. You believe it because it's so true. You can feel it. So there's a believability. It's very believable. It's very vivid. It seems very, but there's no form there. There's no solid being that's happening to it, and no solid thing that's happening. Very much like a dream that you awaken from, and you realize there never was a bear chasing you through the woods. And so, from the point of view of a deeper, even conceptual understanding, you say, well, if it was a dream and there's no bear, there's no you, then it was empty of anything happening. Nothing really occurred. This is the kind of a dream that you're having right now, sitting on your couch, sitting on your zafu, sitting in your living room, pulling on your earlobe, whatever you may be doing. Not real. Realistic, but fundamentally not real. That can be seen, but it's so difficult because most of the world, billions of people, human beings, are grasping, rejecting, shutting down, passion, aggression, ignorance, grasping, rejecting, shutting down. All you have to do is watch that. Isn't that simple? Just watch the merry-go-round. Just watch the spinning samsara. Everything in the world is teaching you the Dharma. Look at the sun, it goes around the earth, teaching. Look at the moon, it goes around. Does it go around the earth? No, the earth goes around. Why aren't you going to correct me? No, Sokuzan, the earth goes around the sun. Oh, okay. Well, I said I didn't know. Look close. You might find that that's not true. Anything that happens has an opposite. Anything that shows up as, yeah, that. It's an opposite. That's why flying saucers are able to move away from gravity, because there's the opposite of gravity, which is what? Anti-gravity. And I don't write science fiction books, but I could, but I don't want. Yes.
Shui Wu bowing. What is the significance of beginner's mind?
Significance of beginner's mind, as Suzuki Roshi taught that, is just to intend. Just start. Just come in and sit down. It's a new person, new situation over and over, and just sit down. You hold still. Whatever shows up, that's it. Whatever goes away, that's it. Rather than try to progress and get better and improve and get more meditative, get more mindful. Quite often we talk to people who may not have a deep understanding of what meditation practice is. And they will even tell you, I started out really being upset and so on, but the more I meditated, the more serene I got, the more peaceful, and now I no longer fight with anything. That won't last. It might last 50 years. So beginner's mind, returning to the beginner's mind, just return to square one. Suzuki Roshi said, beginner's mind, Zen mind, beginner's mind. Trungpa Rinpoche said, square one. Just start at square one, which is, of course, a Western saying.
Shui Wu bowing. Does not knowing mind relate to beginner's mind?
Yes. Because it's a big, I don't know, not knowing. So then as you don't know, you sit down and you don't know. Take your position on the cushion, Buddha. And then as you do, you'll notice any of the causes and conditions that arise in your particular mind stream that were caused by what happened 3 hours ago or 3 years ago or 3 lifetimes ago still continue to come and go. Just observe them, just like one movie after another, and until it exhausts itself. Sometimes traditionally called about turning around at the basis. There won't be a turning around at the basis until you see that anything that arises is unreal. And the basis, of course, is the Alaya Vijnana, or storehouse consciousness. You have to look at it come and go and see how believable. It's so believable. This happened, and this emotion happens, and this one. And you just watch them come and go. You never give up on it. You just watch. Don't conclude. Oh, that's terrible. Don't exclude. That should go away. Don't ignore. What problem? Distract yourself. And when I say don't do that, you have heard this said a few times. It's the failure part of that when I say don't do that, you can't help but do it. It's compulsive. It's addictive. It's absolutely irritating how you cannot control that. So it's observing, seeing. When I say don't do it, I know you're going to fail, but I tell you that so that you fail, so that there's a possibility you can fail. And by being on the spiritual path, to have the guidance of the three jewels, which you have, 2,500-year-old tradition, you're able to look deeply into this intuitively and conceptually and see the fundamental nature of all of this is dependently arisen. There no single thing comes of its own with its own jet propulsion. There's nothing moves of its own. It's always dependent on everything else. No arm raises without everything else raising its arm. Don't believe me? Consider it. It's a way of talking about it using concepts that most people are imprisoned by their concepts. You don't have to be imprisoned by your concepts. You'll be able to talk about anything. You could talk to anyone. You could talk to a nuclear physicist or someone with a lot more brains than you have, however you want to say it, or higher IQ. They might say, give you some formula and say, what's the answer to that? And just say, I don't know. Well, I thought you were enlightened master or something. I thought you knew everything. I never said that. I said, I don't know. But they would not be able to, they can't dislodge you from ultimate truth because nothing is lodged. There's no one there. There's no one who's awake. There's no separate being who is awake. There's no separate Buddha. That's why it's often said that you're the Buddha, awaken to your true nature. Everywhere you look, you'll see nothing but Buddha. I don't care how that person is treating you, how they're acting, how they're spending their life. Not separate. I could pick out some very difficult, challenging, painful situations, and I'm not going to do that. They're available everywhere. But anything you see that looks wrong or bad or evil or anything, Buddha.
Kabbaling in a situation where we're responding to somebody with information. If we don't know, will the information come forth that's needed in that situation?
So there's no, in the relative area, there's no guarantee of anything, but there's more of a possibility because you're not living up to anything. You're just, someone asks you something, even if it's something like, who was the first one that talked about the four karmas, or you could say, I don't know, unless you do. And if you do, they might say, no, I don't think it was him. It was her or something else. They might take exception. Then you say, well, okay, I didn't know that. Am I getting close to what you're after there? Or
Yes, Kabbaling further though, in terms of the vow to be with all things, can we be with all things if we don't know?
that's the only way you can do it. That's the only way you can do it. The statement about I don't know is moving from what this is into a relative state. That's relative. Don't, it's relative, negative. And no, it's a relative thing, a knowledge thing. I don't know. It's a relative way of saying it, but without even saying it, just the springboard, use more relativity there, from which that comes is just consciousness only. There's no person, there's no wall, there's no prison, there's no prison, and there's no person. There isn't anything, but it's not empty of the relative kind of poured out emptiness or vacuous empty. It's empty of your interpretations, judgments, and beliefs and opinions that this is that and that's over there, and there's so much distance between things. Unreal. It's empty of that kind of speculation, observation, conclusion, or opinion. And it's full of what it actually is. And what is it full of actually? What is it full of actually what it is? Full of you. Full of your true nature is everywhere.
Kabbaling, if our true nature is everywhere, can we know that?
Well, there's no one to know anything. So the jig is up. There's no space in time. There's no space in space. No time and space. No, there isn't any reference point to anything. It's the whole thing, the spaciousness, the illusion. It's um, the fabrications, the conclusions are all unreal. So there's no way that you can know anything. But if you're in a relative situation like Bodhidharma standing in front of Emperor Wu, and he asks him what he asks him, and he says, when he is asked about Buddhism and what that's about, he says, no, vast emptiness, no, nothing holy. And who are you? I don't know. Completely straightforward.
Yoga bowing, can that straightforwardness? I can't put it in a question.
You're still going to need solar panels. Just saying. We're in it. We're in the illusion. So operate in the illusion. When I say that, I'm saying do things, make things. So a rock suit, or don't. Move to Vermont, or don't. Or live in the ores. Where you coming from, where you're going to, where you've been. You can live in that. Nothing is threatening anymore because it's unreal. This doesn't mean that if someone comes at you with a club and is going to hit you, you just, oh, it's unreal, so I'll just let them smack me one. Unlikely you do that because the identity is still, even though it's seen to be unreal, it still functions, it still has nerve endings, the feeling is still there, an unreal feeling. The club is there, unreal, but it's there in the illusion.
True bowing is I don't know the only honest answer.
If you say it that way, it's very close to that. I'm not saying it's the only one. I don't know. That was a setup, wasn't it? It honesty would be no response at all. Because nothing is, there's no, if you ask a question, that is the response from the point of view of ultimate truth. There's no response. But if one is in the illusion, is seeing day after day that no matter what they do, no matter how much this hurts, no matter how exciting this is, or aggravating this is, you can live in this crazy, insane world and not be at war with anything. It's called crazy wisdom. It's crazy because the whole world around you is crazy and you're not at war with it. You're not fighting it. You're not trying to stop it. You're not trying to agree with it. You're not. But if you meet someone like that, they may seem pretty ordinary. They could even seem rather dumb just because they're not working with things the way you think they should be. They're not marching on Washington, or they're not doing what, not getting an education, or especially if it's your child, you can be very concerned about your offspring, thinking you have to raise them right. This is just, I have to say it this way, it's insane to do that to children. Protect them because they're innocent. They don't know about things that can hurt them. Protect them. And in this world, it's really hard to do this culture because the protection is about protecting criminals, protecting people who are caught in the illusion of gain and loss, caught in the intense greediness. So that greediness is all over the place. This is why the third precept is so important for all of us to observe, which I talked about on Sunday. Anyone else in here? Yes.
Kondravon, how is confusion not separate from awakening.
So simply put, if you're practicing and you're training your awareness to see the nature of the illusion of this over here and that, you already been told conceptually that I'm here and that's over there and that's unreal. That's non-dual. The truth of that is it's not two. It's Dvaita. Dvaita is duality. Is the negative part of it's Advaita. So, and yet the illusion persists because it's an illusion. It can do whatever it wants. So take me more into what you're wanting to know.
Counterbowing with hearing the concepts and kind of understanding how they work together, but not seeing them. It appears confusing.
So the confusion part, the seeing that this is over there and that's over there, or that's over here, the seeing that and believing this and believing that, that generates a strong ability to get what you want, be greedy and fight with that and agree with that, join this clan or this cult. And well, these people over here all think this and this and this. And that kind of resonates with my fear. I'm going to go over and hang out with them and listen to them. And so we see this everywhere. It's all over the world. So whole cultures are about that. Some religious organizations are involved in that situation. So the way that confusion is the truth, or is not separate from awakening, is what you're looking at is confusion. The description of it is confusion, but what it actually is just consciousness. So you've actually realized your true nature. That's why you're not at war with anything, because you realize it's unreal. You realize that what you're confused about is the unpredictable, crazy, wild, spinning nature of everything, the so-called parts of the illusion that aren't seen as pratitya samuppada, not seen as cause and effect, karma, but are seen as something that has to be stopped or something that has to be gained. We just see it. You appreciate that. There's complete gratitude for everything. Receiving, receiving, receiving. Grateful for everything that's coming to you. You can't have gratitude unless you open the door. Come in. Through any of the sense fields. Welcome. How this feels, how this tastes, how this smells, how this recalls, how this thinks. Receive, receive. It can be done. And if you realize what this is, then the confusion that you've been looking at and the clarity about the confusion, not two. Not one, but not two. There's just clarity. And the confusion may be doing whatever it wants to do. It may seem more confused, maybe you seem less, but you're not confused about the confusion. That's clarity. Therefore, why would you get rid of it? Why would you do anything with it? So when you meet people who are confused, with their permission, you do your best. Some teachers teach differently. Some people don't wait for permission. Some people just go after them. Other people might have some kind of idea, see what you're dealing with, and still not teach you. More. Anyone else in here? So you're saying there's nobody here? All right, James, hit it.
James Bowling. Uh, what use is there in watching the mind arise from the heart basis? What's actually being watched when that's done?
You're just watching the illusion. You just sit still. I don't teach heart basis. I mean, I don't know where you got that from, but if you use that, then that's fine. But whatever rises, thoughts, memories, emotions, you need to do a lot of it. Eventually you see that what comes and what goes is unreal. Nothing comes and goes. If you think it does, then you'll continue to run away from some things and run towards other things and shut down on other things. Passion, aggression, and ignorance.
James Bowling.
Go ahead. Anyone else?
So what what's the difference between mind consciousness versus any other outer consciousnesses?
Same thing. They just look different. And this is why everybody gets fooled by it. And why, if someone runs into you and see how the way they know about being fooled because they're charlatans. And if they see the way in which you're fooled and the way in which you're gullible because you're so anxious to believe something and know something and have a reference point, they'll look and see what kind of reference point you're looking for and they'll provide it to you and then they'll charge you a fee or they'll extract loyalty from you or threaten you with something. They know you operate out of hope and fear. You're fearful. If you're afraid, somebody's going to control you. Go ahead.
James Bowling. Should it be a concern if a student has insight and then devolves into conspiratorial thinking and cultish thinking from a group that you're a member of?
Well, when you say should it be a concern, you're certainly going to think about it, look at it, and be maybe concerned about it. But as far as doing much about it, less is better. I wouldn't do too much about it because you cannot see what the causes and conditions are deeply. You can see, 3 inches below the surface, but you can't see 500 years below the surface because the surface is very, very deceptive. It looks like there's a surface. That's why you have trouble seeing any further than that. Whereas if you realize your true nature, everything is available right here, right now. There is no past or future. I'm not saying that you know what happened in the 13th century, but you know that nothing is separate from anything else. You don't have to have some kind of story about who you were 800 years ago to know that you're not separate from any of that. That's possible to realize it right now. There will not be a credential. There will not be a merit badge. There will not be something you can point to and say, "Well, I have proof that I'm awake and that I can see beyond time and space." You don't need to see beyond something that you're not separate from.
James Bowling.
We'll take one
There's
more, James, then I'll go to someone else. But go ahead, James. Then I'll go to
okay,
Jasheen.
James Bowling. There's a phenomenon called a hotep, which is a person who espouses one opinion but secretly holds the counter opinion. Like they're a conservative person espousing liberal things just to entrap other people that they don't like. So how do you work with kind of like a fake Buddhism, like a New Age Hotepism, where like mindfulness and psychology and other things where they don't in their core actually support insight?
Well, what do you want to know? I can't give you some kind of I can't do a classroom on that particular topic. It's so differentiated. You say, what should you do? The very best thing you can do if you're listening to me is sit down, hold still, train your mind. So any situation you run into, no matter how you describe it, you're clear about what that structure is. You can see if there's some kind of dynamic there that is about manipulating people. You might not be able to correct it or fix it. I can, and you can, or anyone here can sit and look at somebody's confusion for a long time and realize that it's too dependently written to go in and say, "Oh, I noticed you're acting like this. Why don't you stop?" Because it's unreasonable for you to do that. The person has probably countless stories behind why, and they're all wrapped up in intense feeling and emotion, and they're propelled by the three poisons: passion, aggression, ignorance, hope, and fear. There's 5 of them there. We want something, we don't want that, we want this, but we can't get it because we're afraid. So this is why it's so important for you to liberate yourself so you aren't stuck with it. You aren't hooked on different parts of the illusion that seems so damn convincing. We're so convinced in the illusion that we actually murder people who are murderers rather than help them. We're so, not to take to task or to include or blame children, but it's childish in the sense that somebody's never really understood the nature of this. And so they get to be adults or physically adults, and they continue to fight in the sandbox, except now, instead of fighting in the sandbox over something, it's actually taking other people's lives. It's everywhere. The only thing you can do about this landslide of otherness that started from beginning of time until now is don't step into the middle of it, don't run away from it, and don't lecture it. Find out who you are. Don't open your mouth anymore. Well, unless you want to order breakfast or something, but keep it to yourself. This is the retreat hut. This is the monastery right here. Go within. See what this is. Eugene, go ahead.
Eugene Bowing. You said the whole world is crazy. What is meant by that craziness of the world? Bowing.
It's crazy because it lectures itself that what it's doing is right, or it lectures itself that what someone else is doing is wrong. It judges. It operates out of belief, opinions, judgments, a belief in right and wrong, up and down, back and forth, ethical and unethical. It's just a labyrinth of that kind of conclusion or judgment or opinion or whatever. And when society does that, then those who are really disturbed, really crazy from the point of view of the whole setup, they can manipulate that. So they'll come in and actually use people's fear, just like what's happening with the current regime, so to speak. They've just learned how to manipulate people's fear, make them afraid, and that way you can control them. Because only I can fix it, kind of thing. Only I can save you. Tend to believe that. Some people do. Enough people believe it that they take advantage of the system and then start to take it apart, which is what's happening. Can we stop that? I don't know if we can or not. What's important, not so much stopping that. If we can, let's stop it. There's plenty of groups you can join that are trying to do that. I'm not saying you shouldn't do that, but spend some time going here so that you don't take your unexamined passion, aggression, ignorance and dump it on others. No blaming. Very difficult when someone is actually treating you unfairly, immaturely, and acting, from what you can see, crazy. It's crazy what they're doing. If they could see what you're seeing, they wouldn't be doing this at all. But here they go. They're spinning out. So what can you do to help them? Well, at least don't interfere. Be respectful of someone's craziness or insanity. I would step in their way, but you could be respectful of that. Go ahead.
Thank you. So is crazy wisdom an opposite of crazy world? Bowing.
No, it's not separate from it.
But is it craziness? Is it a similar craziness you just described for the world? Bowing.
It's pretty similar, because if you think it's other than that, then you want to control it or stop it. So you have to actually be the craziness you're trying to understand or work with. You have to be that. It can be frightening because you think you're going to turn into a werewolf or something. Very difficult. And some people, it's just too much. They're not going to be able to do it. This doesn't mean they aren't kind, good, loving people that spend their whole life helping others. Of course they do. But it's coming out of a relative idea of helping others rather than a wisdom, which there's no, the whole good and bad ideas collapsed. Much more challenging in the sense that you just basically have to meet everything where it's at, crazy or wise or neutral.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Dr. Mobowing, you said be the crazy that is showing up. When you say be, is that acting similarly, or is that internally, I guess?
Yeah, more internally, there's very little acting coming out of that. Maybe something. There are times when that's just the only way that can show up, is just something you say or do. But it's the way you're asking the question, I would say it's just about negativity arises. Just feel that someone says something, does something, you feel negative. You actually, not that you're feeling their negativity, the personhood, because there isn't any personhood, but you are feeling negativity. And if you wanted to say it this way, you're over there, I'm over here, but it's a shared space. Consciousness only doesn't belong to anyone. But people that think it does belong to someone, to them, then they're concerned with what they think or what they believe or what other people think or believe. And there's always an adversarial kind of protective thing happening. Whereas the one who realizes it's just not protected, they're not protecting. It's not that fear couldn't come up. It would have to be a pretty uh, scary thing, like a giant leopard jumped through the window and said, "Brr," and you probably, run away like everybody else. You might be the first one out of this endo because everybody else would be scratching your heads. What's a leopard doing in here? The teacher's gone. Reflect on what I just said. There's no thought between what occurs, what I'm saying. There's no thinking about it. You are that leopard jumping at yourself, is what I'm saying. You are that.
Around knowing is part of watching our thoughts, developing some kind of distaste or distrust in the thinking process. Knowing.
I would say there's some of that happening. You have thoughts and emotions, but it's not a distrust or something where you're going to push it away because it's wrong. You just notice it. You're grasping at that, and as you grasp, then you might have a very slow moving kind of conclusion that that's not much to that. It feels real. You might have all kinds of discursiveness go through your mind on the path. Realization that won't show up. That's gone. You really go back to Bodhidharma's statement. You really don't know. I don't know. It's not like a negative. I don't know. No, it's I. I don't know. I don't. I don't know. There's no knowing. You could say it that way. No one knows. Not the I identity who doesn't know.
I get.
I'll give you 3 more minutes to come up with a really, really cool question. You have one?
Condro bowing, not cool.
Okay. Warm?
What do we see first? The I don't know or the not knowing? So if something should show up, and we don't immediately categorize it, name it, label it, or do we see that there isn't anyone to know anything?
Both.
Condro bowing, does one show up before the other?
Nor do they show up at the same time. It's beyond the polarities that are generated by any consciousness that's culture based or identity based, which is ours is. Eastern traditions there's less identity based happening there. If someone is a Dharma teacher or somebody who's teaching in a spiritual tradition in Asian countries, just because it's not better, it's just different. There's a lot more natural respect for someone, whereas in our country, there's suspicion. Hit the nail on the head there, didn't I? What do you want to know?
Condro bowing, I guess the bottom line for me is how do I not know?
Look, simply put, I've been saying it for years. Watch what moves, because anything that moves is something you're knowing. It's a separate thing. You watch negative feelings arise, and you your eyes you might squint a little bit, look down. You watch positive feelings and you might feel pretty good about that. Things are getting better. Things are getting worse. Things are getting, and then but if you practice long enough, but and if, practice, 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 eventually starts to become very disappointing because no matter what you watch, it's all unworkable from the point of view of reifying or nourishing the original misunderstanding or mistaken identity as if there's a person. This is convincing. We have kneecaps, we have hands, we have fingers. I used to be able to snap my fingers. I can't anymore. But there's feeling everywhere. So we're constantly being reminded we're somebody and something's happening. We're having thoughts and emotions, feelings are coming and going, reinforcing the original issue, which is self and other.
Conjure bowing, so then it's like it's all I'm left with is the impossibility of this path.
Let's just call it disappointing. Impossibility is you're just locking down on the situation. You're not actually looking at what is actually showing up. It's just disappointing. It's disappointing. So if you say impossibility, that reinforces ego. That reinforces it. Fixation. Just fix it. This is impossible. This can't be done. This is impossible. Rather than return to it no matter what. Return to it no matter how impossible it looks. Stick your head right in there and look at it, smell it, taste it, touch it, feel it, sit here and do it. And if you can, put a tether on the outflow so you're not expressing out of the frustration or out of the disappointment, like looking for someone to blame, like we just had the three-ring circus that used to be here years ago. They're now gone because it was just too much. Not because I was screwing things up or they were screwing things up. It just gets very, very difficult. It's painful. And so people just would rather it's just too much. They don't realize what they're doing, so they need to blame someone for it. Blame someone.
Conjure bowing, it's incredibly difficult or disappointing to look at that self that says it's impossible.
Do it anyway. Don't maintain it because that's security blanket for ego. This is impossible. Then you walk out and then you talk to other people. This is impossible. And the other person says, yeah, it is impossible. That's why I suggest you don't discuss your practice with anybody other than the teacher. This doesn't mean you don't have book study every single day, but deep areas of your consciousness because otherwise it can form a clan or a cult of you. Well, I feel that way too. And then you start interpreting what other Sangha members are doing and what they're saying. And it becomes a fabrication of sorts that can be described as impossible. You can't attain awakening, not at least, then you'll personalize, at least the way this person's teaching, or the way this structure is here. I have a lot of people criticize the way this is done here because it doesn't live up to certain ideals. So it's a disappointment. Return to the impossibility. Just return and look at the impossibility. If you use the impossibility to reinforce your position, your fixation on it, ego feels pretty good about it. You could actually start feeling better because you're starting to realize that this is just not going to work. I'm going to take this illusion somewhere else where it's more authentication. Is that a word? And I talk to other people, I'm going to get authenticated. We saw people do all this, just reinforce each other. We saw a person come in here, wasn't even part of the Sangha and just took over the whole place just because of the intensity of their belief in what they were saying. I call that a reverse empath. It's meant to be funny. Not very funny. More? Please, I'm asking you, please just return to this. Return to the wall. If you return to the wall, you're returning here. Those are not two different things. Sit down. You won't find anything, but you need to look. Go within. It's disappointing. You can't find a person. You can't find some kind of a golden Buddha in there. But you can find disappointment. But then that collapses, and you do it again. And if you find can't be done, that's not disappointment. That's ice. You've just frozen everything. So it's, well, at least I know what it is. Yeah, you're one that someone asks you about it. Well, what do you know about this or that? Oh, I know you can't do it. I know I tried. Well, you big, wonderful person. You tried to do something, failed, and so now you're going to make that into write a book about it. That's not to take away the feeling of impossibility. The feeling of impossibility is how it's done. Just don't believe it. It feels impossible. Just do it anyway. You have a teacher. What does that teacher say to you that over and over and over again?
Do it no matter what.
Do it no matter what. The reason I say no matter what is I know how hard this gets. I know how hard it's been over here, and I see how hard it is for others. And it gets so hard at some point they just shut down and can't do it anymore. Not failure, just postponement. Okay, we got several feathers in the air and no birds. Okay, well, I'll start with, what was your name again? James, and then I'll go to Jasheen, and then we're done. One question from each of you, and it's got to be a really good one.
James Bowling. How do you work with somebody who got released from a North Korean detention camp and has been brainwashed by torture into believing the illusion?
Where do you get these questions, Vat? What are you reading? Are you reading comic books?
But it is a serious question. How do you help someone
No, but
that's been
yeah, but it's such a situational. It's like, how do you? I run into somebody who jumps off from cars into moving traffic, and they do it with a parachute. The parachute doesn't work because it's not that far to the ground. How do I work with that person? I would say, okay, take their parachute away. But then they jump off and they hit their head, and I said, yeah, that's true.
what happens if they jump and their parachute works without it being there?
See, that's the issue I'm having. Is you're way too smart for your own britches. So I don't really, seriously, I don't know how to give you a response to that. I can see where your curiosity goes there. And if I could say something that would be helpful to you based on what you've asked me, I would, but I really, when I hear a question like that, it's not that you're wrong. You've really thought that out and you have some curiosity around it. But to find the response, the true answer to that is probably you're going to have to go in your own mind stream and look, not just think about it, not sit at the computer or fiddle around with a pencil as you're thinking about, or write a couple notes, and not that. I'm saying hold still and observe. See what it is, so you can discover who James really is, what your actual identity is, not just the identity that is being supported and promoted and encouraged by trying to investigate and search. You're searching so much. Just spend some. Don't stop searching, but spend some time just looking, just observing. Don't search for anything. Just look at what's in front of you. Look at the wall. Look at the carpeting. Do it several times a day. Go ahead, Jasheen.
Yishin Bowing. My question is a work in progress, so maybe you can help me. I'm thinking about not separate. Does not separate belong is not the right word, but I will use it. I don't know another one. So does not separate belong only to perception? Bowing.
So that the illusion or the suffering is what gets us on the path. We look at this and it's difficult, painful, and so we meet someone who is pointing at what the Buddha taught, or we stumble into a path where someone is able to function as a mentor or teacher for us, or a guru, if you want to use that word. And so part of the path quality as we go along, it takes quite a while, is the perception part, is to actually perceive that. So part of the concepts that tend to start to arise and chatter around in the fourth skandha are, there's not two things. So we spend some time looking at the not two quality. That's fourth skandha, but that's also has a concluding quality to it. Eventually, that not two goes even another relative statement in terms of space, which there is no location, but we need to use something. So we would say, I would say, it's been said that the duality actually starts to go beyond just this and that duality, and it goes to such an extent that there's no one perceiving that. So not two isn't just two people are not separate from each other, but the not two-ness actually goes way beyond that. So there's no conclusion, because in order for there to be conclusion, there's got to be two, or at least the illusion of two, a real strong illusion of two, enough to frighten you into concluding. But you need to see it so totally that, lack of a better word again here, I get trapped by the words because they don't go, you can't, they're relative. You can't get the word to actually, you can squeeze that word all you want, but you can't get it to have one juice of realization in it, and one drop of juice. And that word is surrender. You have to surrender to this. But the ego will use that to be someone who's surrendered, be someone who's kind and loving, and live up to some kind of credential of it. It's worse than that, better than that. Thank you so much.
We'll stand and dedicate the merit.